I have another video on Satanism that I already made, but I figured you guys might be tired of that, and I feel like I kind of just said everything I have to say. I feel like I repeat myself a lot. And I also had another idea to make a video called Axis Type Beat, where it would be like a Lil Jon song. One of my favorite rappers, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. But it would be, instead of Lil Jon, it would be, and his East Side Boys, it would be various audio clips from various leaders, in Italy, France, Austrian painters, and stuff like that, all the while somebody's going, yeah, 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 in the background. But I'm not that good with technology, and so I'm just letting everybody know that that was a video idea that I had. And that's as good as me making it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the stuff I was going to say in the Satanist video, and I'm also going to talk about my fantasy setting, because, well, maybe people want to know a little bit more about that. My mother knows that I'm a Satanist, by the way, and she's cool with it, but I was raised pagan, which for people who don't know, it's like, a broad term for non-Christian, non-Jewish, non-Arabic religions. People often think that I'm Jewish. I'll go up to them and I'll start speaking Hebrew and talking about Jewish stuff. But no, I just like the Hebrew. It's making me feel good. But I did a DNA test. Not at all Jew. Not 0%. Not that I have anything against Jewish people. I'm cool with them. I am down with the JEWSs. But, and also, it's the Jewish belief that people who are interested in Jewish stuff are actually reincarnated Jews. And I like the aesthetic. But yeah, when I speak Hebrew to people and when I tell people I'm a Satanist, people often think that I'm a Jew. And no, you need to learn the difference. I will say, it's not like a lot of people watch my videos. I'm kind of worried that's just my mom who's watching my videos. And when I say my mom, I don't mean like my mommy. I mean like my mother. Mom, get out. These are private, public videos. Don't watch them, Mom. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to have to explain these videos to my mother. But anyway, so my fantasy saying, and, I'm really, really interested in religion and culture, and so this is also kind of stuff that I kind of knew, but there's this one video by a YouTube channel that I like called Religions for Breakfast, which partially inspired this video. So I really love elves and fairies, and I personally believe in the real existence of fairies, and maybe I'll talk about that. I really want to believe in the real existence of fairies, but, I don't do that stuff as much because it doesn't vibe with my overall Satanism. But anyway, so my setting is really based off, like, medieval Ireland, Wales, Scotland, etc. I like learning, like, Latin and Greek and stuff, but partly just because we don't have any writing from the Druids. I really, really wish it existed, but it didn't. Druid culture was oral. They didn't write down any of their stuff. They just memorized it all, and so it left with them. But also Celtic societies were very big on poetry. Like, there's a big thing on bards and stuff. And they would actually, they would have an important function is they would write diss tracks that could really seriously affect people. Like, it would really hurt your standing in the community. So another thing about fairies that I learned is, the fairy otherworld. They live in an otherworld where if you step in there, then time passes very quickly. Like, you might think you're in there for a month, but when you get out, it will be like centuries in the human world. So in my setting, fairies have a very strange relation to time. They love partying and stuff. They like drugs, alcohol. They play pranks on people, etc. And also, I think a lot of people don't know this, but St. Patrick's Day is kind of an American thing, and what I was always told is the reason you wear green on St. Patrick's Day is because leprechauns can't see green, and if you don't wear green, you get pinched. And so putting all this together, in my fantasy setting, what happens is fairies come into contact with American culture, but only the stuff that interests them. And so they take back guns, and they take back rap music. Fairies are the only, I'm not going to say race, the only thing in my setting that has access to the human world, and they only take back stuff that interests them. So I even came up with a list of all the rap music that exists in my setting, but they take back rap music, and it kind of, and they shoot everybody else in the Wood Elf Society. They're connected to Wood Elves. They don't shoot the Wood Elves. They shoot all the other magical creatures. And Wood Elves are super conservative. They have like an oral culture where they have songs and stuff, but they don't write their own songs. They listen to forest songs. So all right, I hope you're following me here. So the fairies, they have guns. They shoot all the other forest spirits, and then they bring back rap music. And this rap music is basically just my playlist. It's basically just what I listen to. And so the Wood Elves, what they turn into is what I call Hood Elves. Oh yeah, I forgot. This was the setting for the magic system that I developed earlier, where the magic is based on rapping. For people who didn't see that, you rap to do magic, and your rap is stronger if you use slurs and curse words, if you tell people where you live, and if you confess to crimes. Anyway, so Hood Elves, Wood Elves, Hood Elves. I made a pun. And there's also Dark Elves, and Dark Elves aren't a separate race from Hood Elves. They just have a really different culture. Like, Dark Elves are like super normal. They're just like normal dudes. They're normal people who are slightly harder to see when it's dark outside. And so in addition to Hood Elves and Wood Elves, we also have High Elves. And, High Elves were often based off traditional fantasy High Elves, but also like funk and like this dark wizard music that I like listening to. And so basically, High Elves, they're a race. Hood Elves and Wood Elves aren't different races. I'm not racist. High Elves are a race, though, but the defining feature of their race is, genetically speaking, every High Elf is extremely racist. They're all racist. It is something that they can't help. There's literally nothing on the planet that can stop it. Every High Elf is incredibly racist, and they're also really connected to the mana of the plane. But because of, recent changes in society, the mana has gotten all cracked out. So they're all crackheads. They're all like not, they're high elves. They're high elves. They're high all the time, but not like mellow high, like cracked out high. They're all crazy bastards. They're homeless. Most of them are homeless. There's two factions. There's the Cool Kids Club, and they're really obsessed with the filthies. They fucking love Elvis, and they're like these inbred rednecks. And they're trying to seek out the mystical amulet of Flava, which is an artifact. It's a big ass clock, and it can turn back time, and they're trying to turn back time to the way things were before. But the other group of High Elves, they're called the Black Skinheads, and they practice like dark magic. Like, they use the forbidden technique of the hard R in their rap magic, and they worship these entities known as the Dark Ones. And their magic is very strong and powerful, but it also eventually it turns them black. But they're still incredibly racist, and so their blackness, it's like the worst stereotypes possible. Like, they're all unemployed, they live off welfare. They the currency in my settings is food stamps. They sit around drinking 40s. They rap about how they hate rap and stuff. Like, they hate everybody. They use hate magic. They banish people to the shadow realm. I think I had more to say in this video. Fuck, I'm trying to remember what was the other thing I had to say. They hate Hood Elves, they hate High Elves, they hate humans, they hate Dark Elves, they hate you, they hate your crib, your cut, your crew, your gang, your house. They hate you, they hate themselves, they hate everybody. They're the biggest haters. Oh yeah, I meant to say this earlier. My name is Devin. Hi everybody, I'm Devin. Hi. Diolch, blech my ar plant, shoot my... So yeah, I was initially imagining this being like a game that was like a fantasy setting, but it's also Grand Theft Auto. But I can't do coding and stuff, so I'm hoping that one day this could be like a tabletop game or something, maybe. But you know how some games have NPCs, which means non-player characters. Well, in my game, instead of being a player character, you're a playa character, and you're not allowed to hate other players.